You've seen the explosions, the smoke, the destruction. But there's something they don't show you. The eyes of a mother, wide with panic as she covers her child with her body. What thousands have lived through for days, weeks. The deafening noise, the smoke, the chaos. But what the world doesn't see, what the news rarely tells you, is what comes after the explosion. The silence, the fear, the lasting trauma that lives quietly inside the minds of women and children caught in these war zones. Now, I'd like you to pause with me, just for 30 seconds, to have compassion, not for politicians, not for military powers, but for the innocent people. The women who gave birth in shelters, the children who drew missiles in their notebooks instead of cartoons, the fathers who couldn't protect them, and the loved ones who never came home. When we think of war, we often imagine battles, firepower, and destruction. But there's another war, quieter, invisible, and often more damaging. It's the war on the human mind. In Iran and Israel right now, countless women and children are not just dodging missiles, they're navigating daily terror, displacement, and the psychological breakdown of normal life. Scientific studies, like one conducted on residents of Jordan during the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, found that even indirect exposure to war leads to anxiety, PTSD, depression, and long-term emotional instability. Now imagine living right at the epicenter, where the sound of sirens becomes bedtime music, and every trip outside feels like your last. Women are disproportionately affected, not just as mothers and caretakers, but also as silent sufferers. Many experience helplessness as they watch their homes shatter and their children tremble. Children, too, suffer developmentally. They become withdrawn, aggressive, lost. What happens to a child who learns fear before joy? What happens to a mother who must hide her tears so her baby won't panic? Behind every war headline is a mother trying to explain death to her toddler, a grandmother mourning her family in silence, a young girl who stopped smiling when the bombs started falling. The World Federation for Mental Health recently released a declaration emphasizing that women in conflict zones face a unique kind of trauma, a mix of grief, survivor's guilt, fear, and constant hypervigilance. They aren't just grieving what was lost, they're terrified of what's still to come. In both Iran and Israel, women are standing in the ruins of homes, hospitals, and schools, trying to piece together not just broken bricks, but broken spirits. Many suffer from chronic insomnia, panic attacks, emotional numbness, and suicidal thoughts, often with no access to psychological care or a safe space to speak. Yet, they endure, not because they are invincible, but because they have no other choice. They hug tighter, they stay awake longer, they carry their families even when they can barely carry themselves. Their suffering, however, is not weakness. It is evidence of profound strength, and it deserves more than silence. It deserves to be acknowledged, felt, and honored. A study comparing Israeli and Ukrainian women found that war leaves emotional damage that spans generations. The children in these zones are living in a world they didn't choose, where every loud noise feels like danger, and every day is a question mark. Children in Iran and Israel today are being robbed of their childhoods. They don't draw trees and sunshine. They draw tanks and smoke. They don't talk about dreams. They talk about shelters. And worst of all, many don't even cry anymore because they've learned not to feel. Experts call this toxic stress, a level of trauma so deep it rewires the brain. It affects their ability to learn, connect, and trust. Some grow up anxious and hyper-aware, while others become numb and disconnected from the world. But children should not have to grow up with survivor's guilt. They should not have to learn how to say goodbye to their parents in the middle of the night. These are not just war victims. They're the future of both nations. And we must ask, what kind of future will we have if we keep letting the youngest minds carry the heaviest burdens? This isn't about sides, it's about souls. This isn't politics, it's pain. The psychological wounds of war may not make headlines, but they're every bit as real. If we want to be more human in a world growing colder, we must learn to care about the wounds we cannot see. So today, if you watched this far, thank you. You didn't scroll past the suffering. You stayed. You listened. You cared. Because this isn't about Iran or Israel. This is about humanity. This is about children who should be coloring, not covering their heads. It's about women who deserve peace, not panic. It's about all of us and the kind of world we're willing to accept. Please share this message, not to go viral, but to make compassion louder than violence, to remind the world, compassion is not weakness. It's the beginning of healing. And if you believe in peace, in healing, in protecting the minds of the most vulnerable, subscribe to Everyday Psychology, because understanding human pain is the first step to healing it.